Good afternoon. Today, I want to talk about being lonely. There are many of us that are living by ourselves these days, and blessedly being able to live by ourselves, I might even say. So it's something to be really thankful for. And I have developed some strategies so that even though I live in a small house by myself, I don't feel like I'm the only one here. It's not something I even think about. But in a household where you have children and a spouse and all those kinds of things, there's lights, there's noise, there's the sound of people talking, there are all these things. And when we live by ourselves, we don't have that. So some days it's easy to feel alone and maybe even lonely because we're not accustomed to all of that silence, although the silence is also very peaceful, which I find very comforting. However, I think part of the reason why I don't have this difficulty with feeling lonely is because of these practical things that I do that keep that feeling away, because my house doesn't really feel like that. So I'm going to tell you about these things. These are all inexpensive, practical things that you can do. In many cases, they don't cost a thing. So the first one is, and this one's really important to me, and that is that in my house I have an attic, which is where I've placed my bedroom. And so even though my house would not be listed as a 3-bedroom house, it would be listed as a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, because the lower floor is what would be listed. I have a basement, I have 1 floor, and then I have an attic. And one of the big reasons I bought this house was that it had a full staircase up to the attic, and so I knew that I could make that attic into another room. So the first thing is I have lights that are on timers. And these timers are the mechanical kind, the kind that you plug into the wall. You have little levers that you lift up to signal the mechanical timer when to turn on and when to turn off. And I have those on not only the lights, but also the cat's water fountains, so that the water fountains aren't going 24/7. They work during the day and they turn off at night, so something I don't have to worry about. And then in terms of the lights, starting in the basement, I have 1 light, and that turns on, and there are glass block windows around the bottom of my basement, and there's 6 of them. So there's quite a bit of light down there during the day, but at night there isn't any. And of course, if anybody walks into a dark basement, that doesn't feel comfortable. So I have a light down there, and it goes on at 5, and I did this so I don't have to worry about the time changes. It goes on at 5 o'clock in the evening, and it goes off at 8 o'clock in the morning. So that means that it goes on early in the summertime, and in the wintertime it's still working well. So I have that one. So anytime I go down to the basement, over in the corner, it's a full basement, but over in the corner there's probably a 40-watt light bulb, and so it's not super bright, but it also gives the appearance that there's somebody down in the basement at all times at night. And then upstairs, I have 1 light in the living room that always goes on about 5 and goes off about 8. And then I have in each of my extra bedrooms, I have a small, these are IKEA lights, and the bulbs are really tiny and they hardly take any energy at all. And those are both on timers, and they're timed so that the room in the front that faces the street is on longer. I think it's on all night, and then the room in the back, the timer goes off about 2 o'clock. So that also gives the appearance that even when there's nobody here, that looks like there's people here because lights go on and off. And then I also put my Christmas lights on timers as much as I can, so that they go, some of them go on and off by themselves, which is super helpful. And then upstairs, I have a light at the end, close to the staircase, and that light goes on at 5 and turns off at 8. And that means that if I get up in the middle of the night and want to go downstairs, I'm never trying to find a light or going down the stairs in the dark. So that's not only goes on and off and looks like it always looks like somebody's up at my house, right? And that light is a safety thing, so that I never, as I said, I never walk down the stairs either way in the dark. So that is very helpful, because it's not getting dark and the house feels dark and cold. There's always lights coming on and off, and I don't even think about it, but it keeps everything functional, and it just makes it feel like there's somebody in the house. The second thing that I do is I have a sound machine upstairs in my room, and it's more of a mechanical one. You can buy them, and they're expensive, and they don't last very long, and they have better sound, but they go out after like a year and a half. I've heard several people say, "Oh yeah, well my whatever broke." So this is more mechanical. I just turn it on at night before I go to sleep and turn it off in the morning. And it just sounds like static. And I keep it on the low side so that I can't really hear it very much when I'm going to sleep. And then again, I don't have the sound of a completely silent house, but it's a sound that is not something that's going to keep me awake. I'm not a person who likes to go on with the TV in my room or talking and bright lights. I don't think that you sleep well that way. So that's the second thing. The third thing is I always have a radio on. And I don't know, anybody who's listening to this who's 60 or 70 will remember that it used to be that Sony radios were top notch, and they're really good radios to this day. And on eBay, I bought a boombox type that are quite old but work beautifully. And that radio, which has a nice sound, it's not tinny or cheap sounding, and I put it on FM station. In my case, I put it on 93.3, which is a Christian station, and I enjoy that. But if you don't want to do that, then find a nice FM station, something with classical music that is audible. If you like the songs, and mine is on just loud enough that when I'm I spend most of my time in my kitchen and dining room during the day, but it's on just low enough, just high enough that I can hear what's being played, and hear enough of the lyrics to go, oh yeah, I like that song. So that kind of keeps me, again, there's voices in the house. They're quiet, they're calm, serene, but not the clatter of an AM station or the television or news or all those things, which can be disturbing and not fun. I wouldn't want that in my house. But I leave the radio on all the time. And that other thing that does is even when there's nobody here, it sounds like there's somebody here. So that's, I think, a good positive thing. The fourth thing is to keep your house picked up and keep it clean and organized. I mean, don't have to dust all the time, but dust once a month or whatever you want to do. Some people are super fastidious. Many of us are not. I'm not super fastidious, but I find that keeping my house clean and organized is very helpful for my head. And if you have some friends, don't wait for them to call you or to reach out to them. As it happens, most of my friends live in other parts of the country, so I will reach out to them occasionally. I have a friend in Ecuador that I talk with a lot because I lived in Ecuador for a year. I didn't know her when I was there, but she and I are very similar in a lot of ways, close in age and whatever. And I reach out to, I was born and raised in California, so I still have friends out there. And so I don't usually just reach out to people on Facebook to chat, but I also, I do reach out a little bit, and that is to say happy birthday. You know, on Facebook there are prompts that come up and they tell you it's somebody's birthday, and so I try really hard to wish everybody a happy birthday. And sometimes you get happy birthdays back. I mean, not a lot and whatever, but each of those little things is very helpful. And then the other thing that I do, which is very old school, I know, remember I was born in the 50s, and it was a more hands-on time. Now everything is online, and there's a lot about things being online that is really, really wonderful. I mean, we can keep in touch with people and connect in a way that we didn't before. We'd have to dial the rotary phone and talk to somebody. And I remember when there were party lines, and we moved into the house we moved into, and I was about a year and a half old, which was because they had me and they needed another bedroom, my parents. And we actually had a party line. There were 4 different households on that party line. And that was interesting. You could pick up the phone and listen to somebody's conversation, you know. Long ago and far away. I found a book the other day and it had my telephone number in it from that time, and I was so happy to find that because I'd kind of forgotten it. And I have this a little somebody gave me, probably my grandma, a little miniature Bible that I'd forgotten that I have, and inside of it had my name. I didn't write it, somebody else did, and it had my telephone number. And I was like, oh, that's my telephone number. Now I remember. So that was fun. Anyway, so you can mail, you can reach out to people on Facebook just to say happy birthday. You can mail birthday cards to people. And I know that's very old school. However, it's unusual, and I think people appreciate it more. And I try to especially do that with my family and my extended family, because these days we're sort of getting down to my kids and the cousins, and most of the family on my side is completely gone, except for me. And on my husband's side, most of his family is gone too. So we're down to the children of those people. So I do try to send everybody birthday cards and gift cards to let them know that I love them. And every once in a while, I'll get a card back or a gift or something. It's very sweet. And so that's something that you can do, helping people. Helping people by remembering them is very, very, I think, a very good thing to do. And number 7, and the most important really, is pets. Presently, I have 2 cats. They're both rescue cats that I literally rescued off the street, and that makes me really happy. I'm so happy that they have a nice home now. And pets are a lot of company. Whether you have cats or dogs or both, they are just, it's so nice to have another being around. And I have one cat who loves to sit on my lap but doesn't want to cuddle. And then I have one cat who loves to sit on my lap, and he'll literally come up and almost put his arms around my neck. He likes to cuddle so much. When he decides he wants to cuddle, not when I want him to cuddle. And that's why he's not on my lap right now. He always freaks out if I pick him up and put him on my lap. But if he decides to come on my lap, he doesn't want me to get up. He gets mad if I get up. So anyway, So those are my practical tips. Most of them don't cost very much, and they make a huge difference in the ambiance of a house if you're by yourself or an apartment. So think about those things, and they're all easy to do. So thank you very much. Have a good day, and please subscribe. Thank you. Bye-bye.